right, it's us, and where am I here? I thought I hit the button. I didn't hit the button. I guess I hit the button. Now I need to hit the button. So that's kind of where we are. Hang on just a second. Turn the camera on. It's like show camera. And it shows you where we are early in the morning. John, here, you there. Thanks for hanging out as you always do. We're an hour early because of the noon kick downtown, and it's an opportunity for looking at everybody who's played once. So we're going to get into that, and we'll get into what happened last night. We'll get you set up for today. Here's the rundown. You're going to hear from Thomas Tuchel after the match yesterday. You're going to hear from the USMNT, specifically Anthony Robinson and Brendan Aronson, getting ready for the matchup tomorrow in Seattle. You're going to hear from Jesse Marsh. You're going to hear from Julian Lopetegui. You're going to hear what happened yesterday late in the Ghana-Panama match, courtesy of our friends at FDP. And you're going to get all of your juice boxes and your previews, and you're going to get your AST Rewind coming up here in just a second about a particular individual who is not doing very well as a focal point for an offense in a matchup that we saw yesterday to lead things off. So that's where we are in the news and information part of the program. 9 o'clock, hour number 2. We're going to catch you up on something really cool, Morning Dawn Star. And for those of you that have made the trek downtown and have been in the downtown area, even if you're not in the Fan Fest, even if you're not at the matches, you see a lot of signage going on. You see a lot of whether it's upright or in the asphalt, on the sidewalks. There's a lot of signage that's there, and it's a really cool way for everyone to know where they're going, what they're doing, all that kind of stuff. We're going to catch up with the school that is responsible for this, and it's a trip to SCAD, where we catch up with one of the professors that is part of the linkage to all of this. And it's an opportunity for us to find out how it came to be and how it has worked. And because I need to know manpower hours, I need to know individuals, I need to find out really what the process was like, and going from farm to table. SCAD's Associate Chair of Graphic Design, Sam Eckersley, is going to join us at 9 o'clock. He was the faculty lead on the SCAD Pro project, because you're talking like hundreds of students mixing with a lot of different individuals. So we're going to find out about all those things that are helping us get from point A to point B. And for that, we're going to go to SCAD at 9 o'clock and catch up with Sam Eckersley, once again, Associate Chair of Graphic Design, 9 o'clock SCAD. And we're going to let you know how you're getting from point A to point B and how they came up with the ideas and what it's been like for them to launch a project like this, getting ready for the World Cup. So Sam Eckersley from SCAD is going to be joining us at 9 o'clock. So morning, Will. Will's HVAC went out, and it's going to be 85 the next 4 days, apparently. And that's no bueno. That is absolutely no bueno. So, our humidifier here in the office, here in Office HD, has been running nonstop. And it may stop during the show. So we'll find out if my humidifier stops. But yeah, it has been absolutely humid here and chaotic and all the things. So that's where we are today. We're hoping that things, first and foremost, for those of you in the western part of our audience that have been having to deal with Arthur this morning, I know that our friends in New Orleans kind of got punched in the teeth a little bit. So just keep your thoughts headed in that direction, because we know that A, they got it first. B, we know what's coming. So C, be prepared for it. It's supposed to be really wet later today here in our area. So pack your umbrellas, extra clothes. Make sure that your clothing is, or you can change into something that is meteorologically acceptable, so you're not torching really good clothing. So just be prepared when you're heading out today, and that you are as safe as you can be. But obviously our thoughts are with everybody out in the Western frontier this morning with what happened with Arthur now that Arthur has kind of made landfall. So we'll keep an eye on that. And the Weather Channel is on the Big 55, so we're keeping an eye on that stuff this morning. So it is review, it is preview, it is about 4 different nations that we're going to hear from, and we're going to hear highlight from what happened yesterday. And now it's time for opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. With that, with our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, once again, starting your day with the most important stories in the game and the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala. It is heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And so we're going to start our day with the AST Rewind because it legitimately has to do with probably the number one topic that started the earliest yesterday and kind of carried through with stuff that's going on today. And it has to do with Portugal and DR Congo. Specifically, the lack of offensive effectiveness with a particular individual up top for Portugal. And it was a discussion that was had by Thierry Henry about this individual playing as given the assignment as a 9, and he's not a 9. And you're seeing how he's kind of colliding in its bumper cars with everybody else in the attack. So, yes, we're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. And yes, we are talking about what happened yesterday to bat leadoff when Portugal and DR Congo, thanks to a Johan Vissa goal, at a plus 475, got a point in their first match in the World Cup in 54 years. They were Zaire the last time that they were in the World Cup. But Johan Vissa gets the equalizer, and it ends up as a 1-1 draw. Portugal, one of the favorites, if not someone to dial it back, someone who you're thinking is going to go deep in the tourney, if not, be challenging for the trophy at the end, stumbles out of the gate with a 1-1 draw. We'll go through the numbers on the flip side of our AST Rewind, which is opening kickoff. Maddie and Jason discuss what happened yesterday involving Cristiano Ronaldo and how it was not a good look for Portugal. And we'll go into the numbers coming up on the flip side. So this was your AST Rewind from last night. Atlanta Soccer Tonight, stoppage time, 92.9 The Game, 929thegame.com, Odyssey app, 92.9 The Game YouTube channel. So here is the discussion from yesterday about what we saw and what we didn't see with Cristiano Ronaldo with Maddie and Jason.
This isn't a new problem. That's the thing. And I guess Roberto Martinez, it's new for him because he wasn't there in the last World Cup, but it's not going to go away until somebody makes the difficult decision or – I don't know. I don't know. It just somebody retires. I mean, that's basically where you're at because we've seen this happen at times where you have a legendary player who doesn't want to admit that their best days are behind them. And it's a shame because I've never been like a gigantic Cristiano Ronaldo fan. I saw him when he was very young at Manchester United. Goes to Real Madrid. He goes from being a tricky winger who was just amazing on the dribble to one of the best number 9s the game's ever seen. And you have to give him his flowers and his props and all of that. But also now it's sad to see him making a good team worse and nobody seeming to be able to make the decision to stop that.
I feel like at some point, I feel like you're having the same conversation. And after I get done with this thought, I might jump out and then rejoin again because I'm lagging like crazy and I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I'll get my point now. I think a lot of people, when we're talking about I think especially those guys, I mean, the conversation I think obviously becomes to Neymar. I mean, the discussions about him being a part of the Brazil side now, and obviously he hasn't been able to play.
It's different though. Go ahead, but I think it's different.
I think it's different too. But, you have that kind of play with it. I think it's different because I think for Cristiano Ronaldo, I feel like you haven't seen what we normally would see from him. I don't think you've seen that in the last couple of like years.
Uh, you- Well, I'll go a step further. I think we have seen what you would normally expect for him in the last couple of years, and that's the problem. He's not playing at a level that is good enough anymore. And you know, you get found out at this level when you're playing with a myth. And he's a myth right now. He's not a real player like he used to be, because Father Time comes for everybody, except for maybe Lionel Messi at this point. But he's going to have it happen to him too. It's just the issue, I think, when it comes to Ronaldo is he's there to score goals, period. That's it. He's not there to create. He's not there to really lead, because I don't think he does that extremely well. It's just not his personality, and that's fine. It's not everybody's personality. Like, all these things are fine, except for the fact that the team is worse with him on the field. And that's not acceptable. And somebody's got to make the decision to not keep doing that over and over again.
So that was last night on Atlanta Soccer Tonight with Maddie and Jason. And yesterday, we mentioned the 1-1 draw and a plus 475 in the juice boxes. So you look at his numbers yesterday in the match. Set to be up top. Hasn't been there. Like I said, go back and listen to Thierry Henry's conversation that he had in studio about how things are colliding. Cristiano Ronaldo had the lowest rating of a starter for Portugal yesterday. Yes, Bernardo Silva was close, but Bernardo Silva also had a yellow card that was attached to it. Lowest rated player in the start for Portugal was Cristiano Ronaldo. Here are his numbers from yesterday. XG of 0.46, 3 shots. 2 of those came in the second half. 1 was a header that he jumped out of the gym for and just missed the near post with. And then another shot that was wide of the near post at the time. 3 shots yesterday and a 0.46 XG. Then you go into the passing numbers. 19 to 21 passing. 15 to 17 in the attacking half, 404 in his own half. So 21 passes on the day, 19 completions. On the dribble, 25 touches. He had 16 of those in the first half. 16 touches first half, 9 touches in the second half. 2 of those were shots that were wide. And I think they were all three of his shots were registered in the second half. So 3 of his touches in the second half were shots, 3 of 9. Did not have a shot in the first 16 touches that he had in the first 45. 1 unsuccessful touch, 3 times lost possession, total carrying distance 49.5 meters, 6 carries, 1 progressive, and the progressive carry was 11.5 meters on the day. I'm not even going to look at his defensive numbers. Ran 8.3 kilometers, top speed of 33.7, so it was like 20-something miles an hour. 4 sprints, running numbers of 10% of the time at 0.84 kilometers. So that was what you got out of Cristiano Ronaldo yesterday. 25 touches, 9 of them in the second half, and just not a part of the offense. I mean, I'm not going to say that this is like, Johnny Unitas as a San Diego Charger. This is not, I don't think it's Joe Namath as a New York, as an LA Ram. I don't think we're there. It's just that he's not effective on the international stage. He's doing his thing, averaging a goal a match in the Saudi Pro. But it's just not the same, and it is a painful look at times. But it does make you wonder if, with Roberto Martinez in his last sequence as Portugal's head coach, if he's going to be the one, it's like, what do I have to lose? I'm out the door anyway. Do you risk the hue and cry of everyone sitting there going, you sat Ronaldo? But Ronaldo, being Ronaldo, isn't Ronaldo, isn't the one that we've known, isn't the one that we see on all the highlight reels. Does Roberto Martinez make that decision? Does Cristiano Ronaldo make that decision? Hey, man, I'm not helping out here. And as a matter of fact, yesterday, if you look at the numbers, he was the lowest rated player, period, for Portugal. The substitutes that came in had higher ratings than Cristiano Ronaldo did. Registered a 6.1. Everybody else was higher. I think everybody else was in the sixes, and that being the case, but still, Cristiano Ronaldo to 6.1 was the lowest rated player yesterday by SofaScore in Portugal's draw with DR Congo. Great work by DR Congo. They didn't flinch. They got the goal and probably also should have gotten some more cards, if not a red, late when they were back-to-back fouls called, and you only ended up getting a yellow out of the deal, where you ended up with a clothesline of, I think it was a Vissa, actually. So Portugal escaped with a lot of stuff. And on the scoreboard, I don't know if the realization is going to be there or not. Match number 2 for Portugal, I'm intrigued. But it's not for the reason that we all would like for that reason to be. That was your AST Rewind here on the network. Once again, AST is on 929 The Game, 929thegame.com, Odyssey app, 929 The Game YouTube channel. And the times vary, and it is a three-dimensional experience with AST, with Maddie and Jason and everyone that jumps in. So when we find out what the time is, I think tonight it's 10 to midnight. And so we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll let you know where it is tonight. But Jason and I obviously are going to be down at Atlanta Stadium. I'm still trying to get used to that. And then I've got to kick that habit once the tournament's over in late July and get everything back to Mercedes-Benz. But Atlanta Stadium today has a noon kick, and we'll be there for that. So keep an eye out on your socials for all of our content, written, web, socials, all the things. So Jason and I are going to be down there today, and it's going to be a fun day, and we are just going to try and stay as dry as humanly possible. And I'm going to try and smuggle an umbrella that's about that big into Atlanta Stadium. So we'll see what happens. Back to Fang, glad you're here. And by the way, for those that might be new in our audience, Typhane Bernard is new, watching from Europe. And traditionally, we're not up this early. Just to remember, we're usually starting in the next hour, but because of the noon kick downtown at Atlanta Stadium, that's why we're here today. We're going for about another hour and 10 minutes. So we're going to try and be out of here by 9:30 Eastern time. And then we're going to be heading downtown to cover the matches today. So that is where we are now. And Alexander Sefrin should have kept his mouth shut. That's the thing. It's, you got the 13 nations that came out with their statement. We still can't corroborate it. It was, we found it in a Serbian paper, but UEFA hasn't, Sefrin hasn't doubled down on it or anything publicly, but we did find it in a Serbian paper. But the quote started out that way, and then he covered his tracks. Oh, but it's great to see them all here. This is how it basically paraphrased the ending. It's like it's uninteresting games. This is before the tournament even started. So 33 through 48, he's thinking the games are going to be uninteresting. But at the same time, it allows for them to have these kind of great moments. So what you've done is you've taken half a quote and you've taken it to where it is now, and you still have DR Congo getting a result yesterday. Yesterday, speaking of, it was after Portugal and DR Congo, England catching fire in the second half, 2 goals late in the second half, beating Croatia by the score of 4-2. This one was a fun one. I mean, the governor was out of the golf cart on this one because you had goal early by Kane from the spot after he took the first one and it was saved. And Livakovic saved it, but he was adjudicated. He was judged to have stepped off the line. So Harry Kane got a redo and got the second one in. So it's 1-0. Then you end up 1-1. Then Kane scores in the run of play 2-1. Then at 45 plus 5 at the tail end of the first half, Peter Musa scores. And that was a big deal. Peter Musa scores because he plays up in Frisco for FCD and so FC Dallas. And there were some folks that who are from Dallas that were at the match yesterday wearing their Peter Musa FC Dallas jerseys. So Musa scores at the end of the first half, literally end of the first half, to make it 2-2. And he was emotional coming off the field, understandably so. And then the second half, as Croatia is still trying to push for the lead in all of this, you end up with 2 goals from England, 4-2 your final. And here is Thomas Tuchel after the match discussing what he saw and what it was like out there in Jerry World. By the way, you see, and that you have to even change it from Jerry World. It's still Dallas Stadium. It's Jerry World, but even after the guy. So 4-2 win yesterday at Dallas Stadium. Here's Thomas Tuchel after the match.
I love the second half, all of it. I love the reaction to a very complicated first half. But as you said, I mean, we played against a top opponent. I think we showed a bit of nerves. Maybe we wanted to overdo it, but we clearly overthought our decisions. It took us too long to take decisions. When we could play short, we played long. When we could have played long, we played short. We couldn't find a real rhythm in our game. And even in defending, it took us too long to make decisions to go as a block into the high press. We spent way too much time in a low block, which is also not our identity and not what we wanted to have. The leads, both leads, didn't make us more free. It had more the impression we have to protect something now. Got punished for it, which is psychologically not easy. But I loved the reaction after the half time. We encouraged them to go for it, to play with more courage, to be brave, to be ourselves. And like I said, I loved the reaction. We created a lot of chances. We had a lot of ball wins. We scored goals. And overall, I think we deserve to win. There is still things to improve. I think this is also quite normal after a first match. You need to grow into a tournament. We got a tough draw to start against Croatia. So the positives are clearly the ones where we focus on now and enjoy the moment, and we have enough days to adjust what needs to be improved.
Thomas Tuchel after the 4-2 win yesterday against Croatia at Jerry World. Then after that one, you go to Toronto, and it was one of those matches that at times was played seemingly in a monsoon. And from there, you didn't know if you were going to get a goalless draw because, I mean, it was back and forth in the second half when the rain finally did calm down and the players could navigate it. But you end up with 89, 90 minutes. You end up with a lot of hope and a lot of chances. And then you end up, we always talk about moments. Literally, we always talk about moments. And you had a moment late in the match, and I mean later than late. Later than late, you end up with a moment. And here's how it was called once again with our friends. This is where we have a little fun. And it's from our friends at FTP Radio. And once again, and the hold note here is so impressive. The hold note here by Kevin Rodriguez, and I don't know how he does it. Man's got a set of pipes on him. So here's the moment of moments, later than late, in the Ghana-Panama match, brought to us by our friends at FP Radio. And the lungs of 9 people end up in one place. It's with Kevin Rodriguez. Here's the call late.
Ojo que va el número 10, atentos, que va Sante, dejó en el camino, puede ser para ganar. a cerrar para el 1-0. Al minuto 95, una descolgada, lo hablábamos. ¿Por qué tiraron ese centro y en la contra más rápida la selección ganesa que llegó con 4 atacando? Pero hay que decirlo muy bien, el número 10 Asante se sacó la marca, dejó servidito para su compañero que llegó nada más a poner el interno y para adentro lo a 0. Lo gana en fútbol de primera.
I think it was a 20-second hold note. I can go back and look, but it was a 20-second hold note there by Kevin Rodriguez for FDP Radio. Football de Primera. Man, if I get my upper plate to work this early in the morning, I'd be good. But yeah, Kevin had a hold note of about 20 seconds. Gets that goal at 90+5. Caleb Urinki gets the goal for Ghana, and Carlos Quiroz. Big 3 points for Ghana in the group. They came in, obviously, at a plus 135. And that was our last game in Picks of the Week, by the way. So what did I do here? Oh, I had Ghana. What do you know? And I also had Ghana at a plus 110, which is disappointing considering that the numbers increased over time. So Picks of the Week officially done for week number 1 of the medio. So that means I've got to come up with games. And, okay, so I had Netherlands and Japan. I got that one. Haiti and Scotland. Obviously, that was a minus 182. So I had that one. Iran and New Zealand. That was a 2-2 draw. So I didn't get that one. Let's see. Canada and Bosnia-Herzegovina. That was a draw. I did not have that one. So Brazil and Morocco and Cote d'Ivoire and Ecuador. So of the 8 matches and the total shots for Norway and Norway against Iraq was the tiebreaker. So week number 1 of the medio is done. I got to come up with games. I'll probably do that today. So keep an eye out in the Discord for round number 2 of the medio for Picks of the Week in the Discord. So you have been summarily warned about week number 1 being done and week number 2 being on the table. So there you go. Big 3 points for Ghana. Caleb Urinki with the goal later than late. Then the nightcap, Colombia knocks off Uzbekistan. I really like, and if Nick is ever awake enough or can step away from his actual work to come in and discuss what he has seen, because in our conversations last night, it was an education for us to see how Fabio Cannavaro works out things defensively going up against Colombia. And I was really impressed with Uzbekistan. Obviously, you look at someone like Husanov, who you're used to seeing in the Premier League, and that's kind of like your knowledge base. But then you end up seeing the number 50 ranked team on the planet, and they get an equalizer with Faizalayev in the 60th. Daniel Munoz scores. It's 1-0 at the break. There were moments in the first half for Uzbekistan. Then you end up with Faizalayev scoring in the 60th. Luis Diaz scores 5 minutes later. And then as Uzbekistan is chasing, Yamintan Kampaz scores at 90+9, 3-1 your final. So the third goal for Colombia, yes, it helps you in goal difference, but really I look at it as a 2-1 game until late. But Uzbekistan, I thought, held themselves really well for their first match ever in the tournament. So they did really well there, and it was a fun watch late last night at the Azteca, where apparently, and I couldn't quite find the audio in time, but apparently it was the Colombia fans, understandably, they're excited and everything. And as they scored, and I want to say it was the 2-1, might have been the 3-1, but it was in the second half. First off, Jackie Oatley and Warren Barton, for those of you that were watching the match on Big FOX last night, it was the two of them at the Azteca. And Debatable Baritone Jr. is about to get blocked and reported. So they're calling the match. One of the goals gets scored. And I think the 2-1 goal was the one where they got drenched in beer. Not a surprise because, I mean, the Azteca doesn't have, in certain sections, and I imagine that in that particular, if I'm envisioning where they are, because Jackie has posted photos to her social medias. If they are where I think they are, that is prime territory for getting dunked on. Literally, stuff gets thrown up into the air, what have you. And Jackie and Warren got beer dumped on them after goal number 2. So I don't know how the equipment survived from minute 65 going forward. I hope it did. But that's what your technicians are there for, and they are the ones that really save your bacon in times like this. Then when they score the 3rd goal, like I said, if my memory is correct about the procession, Warren had a bottle hit him in the head. Had a beer bottle hit him in the head. I don't think, obviously, it was thrown directly at him like in a line. I think it was probably one of these where, you're celebrating, it goes up into the air and it comes down, and Warren got hit in the head with a beer bottle. And apparently, Jackie was, and I'll try and find the audio and see if we can play it tomorrow. But Jackie was commenting about the beer, and then she looks over and she sees Warren, and Warren's bleeding. So Warren Barton got hit in the head with a beer bottle in the second half offensive sets for Colombia. Didn't shake him. He did say that he might have been seeing multiple players and multiple numbers. All right, cute line. What is this with the bots today? Well, I think it's Thursday. They're going to try and get stuff done. So Debatable Baritone, that got done, but apparently only here on I'm waiting for Cute Lion to pop up in the Twitch pitch so they can get reported. But yeah, so Warren Barton got hit in the head with a beer bottle, bleeding and everything, and he stuck it through the end of the broadcast. So I don't know if anything happened to anyone inside the Azteca, but it is an easy it is an easy place, if you are positioned where I think you are, to get that kind of traffic. But it was a big win for Colombia, and they were obviously the favorite going in. So everyone's played once now. We're getting ready for match day 2s across the entire thing. Just to give you a reminder as to where we are before we get into juice boxes. Group A, Mexico and South Korea. They won their first. Mexico's ahead on goal difference. Czech Republic and South Africa. They lost their first 2. Czech Republic ahead on goal difference. Group B, Switzerland, Canada, Qatar, Bosnia-Herzegovina. They're all drawn. They're all with 1 goal scored. They're all with 1 point. We'll hear from Jesse Marsh coming up in a bit. Group C, Scotland, the only team. Yes, sir, I like to boogie. They are the only team at 3 points. Because of the Morocco-Brazil draw, I guess I should do this on the way forward. So because of the Brazil-Morocco draw, which was a plus 290 in the picks of the week, they're in the middle. Haiti's at the bottom. They're the only one that has not scored points in their first match. Group D, USA, Australia, Turkey, Paraguay. USA and Australia playing in Seattle tomorrow, 3 o'clock. And we'll obviously have all of the preview stuff getting ready for that one tomorrow as well. We're going to hear from Jedi Robinson and Brendan Aronson coming up in a sec. Turkey and Paraguay. Turkey is 3rd on goal difference right now, 1 above Paraguay. Group E. Germany, Ivory Coast, each with 3 points, but Germany, because of their big win over Curacao, well ahead on goal difference. Curacao right now at -6. Ecuador at -1 in goal difference in Group E. Group F, Sweden, the only team that won. So therefore, Japan and the Netherlands, they're in the middle. And then Tunisia. Ervenar has showed up and has had his first practice, and apparently he is sitting a couple of folks that are regarded as locker room cancers, and he's going to work on their conditioning. So we'll see what Ervenar can do in Group F with Tunisia at -4 in goal difference, 1 point behind Japan and the Netherlands, who drew their first time out. Group G, New Zealand and Iran are ahead of Belgium and Egypt on goals scored. New Zealand, Iran 1-2, Belgium, Egypt 3-4. Group H, Uruguay, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Cabo Verde. Everybody's got 1 point because of the 2 draws, but goals scored, Uruguay and Saudi Arabia ahead of Spain and Cabo Verde. Group I, Norway win, France win. Norway has more goals scored, has more goal difference by 1 over France. Senegal and Iraq are at no point. Senegal has 1 better in goal difference. Group J, Argentina, Austria, 1 out of the blocks. Argentina ahead on goal difference with the 3-0 win over Algeria. Jordan lost 2-0 to Austria, so Jordan's 3, Algeria 4. Group K, Colombia, DR Congo, Portugal, Uzbekistan. Colombia, obviously, with the win, 3 points. DR Congo, Portugal in the middle. Uzbekistan at the bottom, no points and a -2. Group L, England, Ghana, Panama, Croatia. England and Ghana won. Panama, Croatia did not. England ahead on goal difference. Panama ahead on goal difference. Your third-place teams, if everything stopped today: Netherlands, Brazil, Belgium, Qatar, Portugal, Spain, Czech Republic, and Ecuador. That would be your top 8. If it stopped today, which it has not. But today is the beginning of match day 2. And so, getting into match day 2, we got juice boxes to talk about. And it is Czech Republic and South Africa at Atlanta Stadium at noon Eastern. Noon Eastern time on all of your networks that are your favorites. Czech Republic favored at a -125, draws a +260. South Africa is a +390. 3 o'clock Eastern time is the one after that. It's noon, 3, 6, and 9 today. From LA Stadium, SoFi, Switzerland and Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the numbers there: Switzerland to -182. Bosnia and Herzegovina, don't sleep on them, +320. And for them to win, they're a +500. Night side, 6 o'clock, Canada and Qatar. Canada, big favorite, a -333 in Vancouver, +475 on the draw, and Qatar is a +1,000. Speaking of being a +1,000, Julian Lopetegui at the MD -1s. Here were his thoughts leading into today.
Yeah, for sure. We are in one World Cup. After we will face tomorrow not only one team that played at home in front of their fans, 50,000 fans. I think because they are a very good team, strong team, physically, technically, with a higher rhythm, with excellent coach, good players, top players. They are playing most of them in the best team in the best team in Europe. So we have to be ready. For us, it will be a big challenge, big difficulty, but that's why we are in the World Cup, to be able to do our best, to be able to improve our limits, and to be able to understand the kind of match that tomorrow we will find for sure. It's a big demanding. I think that thinking in the 3 matches that we will face is the team that is different of the 2 others, because they show a very high rhythm always, and they have a very good players in many positions.
Julian Lopetegui getting ready for Canada. So that means that on the flip side, we get to hear from Jesse Marsh. And a couple of topics here with Jesse in his press conferences. And the first one is getting ready for, obviously, match day number 2.
Look, we know that given our group being so tight right now, that every moment and every point matters. And we're focused on that. We're not trying to be overly magnanimous. We're just focused on the match and about Qatar and what they're good at and what we want to try to limit from them and how we want the game to look. And so that's what I would say more than anything is I think we felt like specifically in the first half against Bosnia that the game looked more like what they wanted it to look like than what we wanted it to look like. And so we have to make sure that from the beginning we set the tone and we play the kind of match that favors us from the start. So we will be looking to establish that early in the match.
Then he was asked about set pieces, because that was the goal that Bosnia and Herzegovina scored that gave them the lead. Concern for Canada men's national team? Yes. Concern for Jesse Marsh? Yes. So he was asked about it, and here was Jesse Marsh talking about all that. Yes.
Yeah, well, when we analyze it, we actually had first contact quite a bit in our attacking corners. Our long throw-ins weren't effective, and some of our free kicks weren't effective. And then obviously they were able to get a goal on a corner, which we knew they were dangerous at in the first place. But we have been talking quite a bit about set pieces. We do care a lot about them, and we do think they can be a factor for us to help tilt the game more in our favor. But Qatar is a different, Bosnia is, whether you look, it's the tallest or the second tallest team in the tournament, and we knew it was going to be difficult. We tried to run some short options. We tried to do a few clever things, but they're good at set pieces, right? So I thought in general Steph's service was very good. I thought that we had some dynamic movement, and if we could have been a little bit more determined in some moments, that maybe we could have capitalized on a few moments, and we're continuing to build that kind of mentality and ruthlessness around being around the goal, around set pieces. But I expect that this game will be better. I think that the match plan that we put together for set pieces is good, and I think that the guys will be ready to execute.
Jesse Marsh, after his MD-1, well, that was his MD-1. Sorry, I'm doing my math real quick on picks of the week. So 1, 2, 3. So I was 4-4 in picks of the week. And let's see. So that's minus 400. So that's plus 400. So I'm even right there. So plus 260, plus 360. So I was a plus 360 in the Medio week number 1. And then tiebreaker shots Norway over and in the matchup with Iraq. Let me see if I can find the numbers here. So Norway and Iraq. When was that? That was on the 16th. So match report. So in the 4-1 win, how many shots did Norway have in the match? In the match report, it says that I need to zoom forward because I can't read that. I can't read type that small. Only 12. Wow. Okay. So I was well off. Okay. So Norway had 12 shots against Iraq. So that's your official. 5 on target, 12 total, 5 on target. So I was a plus 360 and the number was 12 and I was nowhere close because I thought it was going to be somewhere in the 20s. So that is picks of the week number 1. Medio coming up later today. So Jesse Marsh getting ready for their matchup against Qatar. And the other matchup tonight, Mexico and South Korea. Mexico is a plus 104. Draw is a plus 229. Korea Republic is a plus 300. And that matchup is in Guadalajara. Programming note. Tomorrow, because there is no match that we have to get to here in Office HD, we're going to be going long tomorrow because we're going short today. How long are we going, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you. We might be hitting a marker. We might be hitting the 4-minute mile tomorrow. Legitimately, we might. We're going to be talking about corporate infrastructure tomorrow to bat leadoff, about what it takes to make sure that everything goes swimmingly when it comes to venues and operations and all that kind of stuff. Jason Brock's going to join us to talk about that. 9:30, we got stuff to get into there as well. It's the stuff having to do with today and tomorrow. We'll get into that at 9:30. 10 o'clock, we'll see who joins us from Apple TV. I don't know. Kirk Reynolds is chasing, and that'll always be fun because I don't know who it is, and it's an interview that we do on the fly. Then, because we're ending early today, that means that Nino and Nico, the Power Hour, is tomorrow, and the Power Hour goes from 10:30 to 11:30. Nico starts us at 10:30. Nino comes in at 11. And we are efforting an 11:30 guest. Let's just say that this individual will be watching that match tonight in Guadalajara in person. That's all I can say. Technology will be we will be at the mercy of technology about getting this guest at 11:30. But Little Birdie told me that they're going to be in Guadalajara discussing, they're going to see the match, and they'll be on the show tomorrow at 11:30 to discuss said match. So that's kind of what we're staring at when it comes to tomorrow's rundown. There, I said it. All right. Now, we mentioned what's happening not today, but tomorrow. Tomorrow, batting leadoff, 3 o'clock in Seattle at Seattle Stadium. It's going to be the U.S. and Australia. Big matchup. U.S. is favored right now. If you look at your juice boxes, U.S. is favored at a -167. Australia is a +425. Draws a +340. Anybody that says that this is a cakewalk obviously has not seen Australia. And I know that sometimes pundits say things because they're going to say things. But in this particular case, no. This is not going to be a cakewalk. Team USA knows this. And at their MD -1s, a couple of players got the opportunity to talk about it. First off, Jedi Robinson. And he got to discuss what's going on. Here is Jedi at the microphones, courtesy of our friends at US Soccer and Veritone.
Yeah, well, like you said, there's not many upsets. I think in our group especially, like there's a lot of quality and the teams are all pretty evenly matched. So it was it was enjoyable to watch the game and see them see what both teams have got to offer. And I think Australia, they were really comfortable defending and they put everything on the line. And obviously they were a real big threat on the counter attack as well. So training up in the next few days is just going to be about how we kind of nullify their threats and then what positions we need to get into to exploit their back line and obviously try and score goals.
What was it like to see the team click? It was the first time that coach has had his first choice 11. Everyone just seemed to have a great game. What was it like to feel that way on the pitch?
It was really, it was a really fun game to be a part of. I think since I've been with the national team, that's probably my favourite game. We showed what we can do, and the whole moment, the fact that it was the opening game on home soil, the fans, our families being there, pitch was incredible, the atmosphere was great. So to top that off with a great performance and everyone's, like you said, sort of clicking and being on the same page and playing well, made us really enjoy the game and enjoy working hard for each other and performing.
And there you go, Jedi Robinson at the MD -1s. And once again, not to be outdone. Here's Brendan Aronson on his thoughts. They start about the last time that these two teams played. He's asked about Christian Pulisic, and we go from there. So here's Brendan Aronson, once again, courtesy of our friends at US Soccer and Veritone.
Yeah, I got some minutes last time we played Australia, and I thought, they were a very, very tough team to play against. In that game, it was a really, really close game. I think we played very well on the day, but we know that, this is going to be a very tough World Cup match. Every game is very tough, no matter who you play against, and of course with the team with Australia, they've made some really good ones in the last World Cup, so we need to be ready to go.
Christian Pulisic, we don't know his status as of yet. The opportunity may come up for you to play. What does that mean to you?
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, for myself, of course, I'm always ready to play. I'm always ready to do my thing, no matter what. Hopefully, Christian's going to be ready for the game because, he's a big player to us, and we really want him to be there, of course. But, of course, everybody's got to be ready to go. The depth of this team is something that I've never seen before, and it's really nice, in trainings, the sub-training sessions after the game and stuff like this, you can see the level of quality, the level of talent, and I think it's just truly amazing, so we can rely on each other on any moment. And yeah, like I said, coming up to this big Australia game, we're going to need everybody.
Brendan, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, not only having the World Cup at home. Obviously, you guys are locked in on the games, but are you taking some time to sort of reflect and enjoy the moment in itself, whether it's trainings or just hanging out with the guys, to know that this is a once-in-a-lifetime you're going to experience this sort of thing?
Yeah, it's a great question because I think, the best times of, these World Cup, camps or World Cup, competition is just being able to be with the guys and watch the games. I think for me, that's the biggest one, is when we're all sitting together watching the games. There's been, a couple times already at this camp where we sit down, we watch. We were watching Messi yesterday, of course, score the hat trick. And yeah, just spending those moments together. And then also, we have an amazing setup in Laguna that we're very lucky about. So just being able to relax, spend time with the guys, take walks together. It's just, it's an amazing, moment, and we have to take it in.
What was it like watching
Brendan Aronson on the MD -1s as they're getting ready for the matchup tomorrow. Technically, it's an MD -2. So MD -2, they were in front of the microphones yesterday, and so that was part of their Q&A session that they had with the assembled media. All right, a couple of other things having to do with the World Cup before we get into the discussions about everything that's going on with SCAD and how they are showing you the way, literally, when it comes to everything here in Atlanta at the World Cup. You might have heard this story involving a player from Ivory Coast. Cote d'Ivoire striker Eli Wahi has now been denied entry into Canada ahead of the Germany fixture on Saturday. Currently under investigation in France over alleged spot-fixing offenses linked to a Ligue 1 match between Nice and Metz in May. Reports claim suspicious betting patterns emerged after Wahi received a yellow card during the match. Although he hasn't been charged with any offense, the investigation is now impacting the World Cup campaign started in the Ivory Coast win over Ecuador. Not available for obviously for the Group E encounter in Toronto. And coming up for match day 2 for Ivory Coast. So that was one of the larger stories that has come through. And you're also starting to see pictures of the Spanish national team up in Chattanooga. Nico Williams and Gavi were at Riverdance. Looked like they were having some wine and maybe some sweet tea. Now if they were experiencing sweet tea, you're welcome, people. You're absolutely welcome. So that was a really cool picture. They are experiencing the South as only they know how. Sweet tea. You got to dig that. So very, very cool picture there that came out of the Tennessee River Valley yesterday. So very, very cool stuff there. So you got your juice boxes. And like I said, the number of shots, I thought it was going to be a lot more than that. But okay, so I ended up plus 360 and was nowhere close on the tiebreaker. So the Medio is now officially underway. Picks will be in. I'll work on them at the match today. So obviously you won't have a match today involving picks of the week, but I'll have them posted. They'll be in the Discord. And for those of you that want to jump into the Discord, into the Medio, because remember, picks of the week, 3 separate chapters this year. Apertura closed, Medio now. Clausura goes all the way until MLS Cup. Campeón de Campeones of the 3 segments. MLS Cup based picks of the week, and then we take a breath until the sprint season. So that's how, and then you get a high and hearty handshake, and then we'll figure something out there. But that's the picks of the week rundown for the season. Maybe a week 2 coming up here in just a little bit. Trying to see if there's any other storylines that we need to get into from a World Cup perspective, because there's MLS stuff to get into and gossip, rumor, and innuendo and what to watch. We'll get into that after we catch up with what's going on at SCAD with Sam Eckersley. But with the World Cup, stuff, I'm keeping an eye on Tunisia. I'm not going to lie. I want to see how or if Hervé Renard is going to be capable of turning that 18-wheeler around in a short period of space. They got a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of expectations, but Hervé Renard has already been at practice. He's had his first one. Guy was mobbed at the airport, by the way. And he had one of the fans, I think, put a fez on his head. So I guess he was ready to go. And their next match, by the way, is in 3 days' time against Japan, and they are a decided dog at a plus 600, considering all the chaos that's going on around them. So 4 matches today, once again, noon, 3, 6, 9. Czech Republic, big favorite against South Africa. Switzerland, a big favorite against Bosnia-Herzegovina. Canada, huge favorite at home in Vancouver against Qatar, and Mexico favorite in Guadalajara on the plus side of the plus 104. Going up against the Korea Republic at a plus 300. Okay. There are a lot of things that make a tournament what it is. And I always talk about it from the TV side of things, where literally you see what's going on live television, and it's the dog bringing the stick back to shore when you're playing fetch with it. You know, you throw the stick as far as you can. The golden retriever goes in, gets the stick. You see the dog huffing and puffing. That's the calm part of everything above the water line. That's live TV. That's what you see. But you don't see the dog paddling at 900 miles an hour below the water line. That's everything that it takes to get that picture of the dog going back to shore to be as calm as it is. There are a lot of different things that make a presentation in a market, especially for a big event like this, what it is. And part of that comes from our friends at SCAD. We've covered them in soccer on the field, and now we get to talk about them off the field. And we get to bring in our friend Sam Eckersley, Associate Chair of Graphic Design on the SCAD project that you might be seeing around town. So, Sam, how are you? Welcome to the morning show.
It's a pleasure to be here, John. Thanks for having me.
Was that lead up anywhere close? Was I in the ballpark? Was I in the batting?
Any opportunity to talk about dogs and running around behind stages, I think is great. Yeah, that sounds like a great setup.
Okay. This was one of the things that we kind of sit there and just kind of think that, yeah, I'm going from my starting point on my walk or my drive or my Uber or whatever and going to a venue. It's like, yeah, I'm just doing, oh, that looks kind of nice. That looks kind of cool. That looks kind of pretty, And this is where we get to talk about those cool and nice and pretty things. And you had over 200 students and folks that were associated with this project make all of the signage and the walk-ups happen. Is that right?
That's right. We have been working with the host committee for Atlanta World Cup since 2014. They reached out to us, and they've been, prepping for this for years and years once Atlanta got selected. So they reached out. We were looking for opportunities to help them. Every city that's hosting has to work within what they call the last mile. So that's a FIFA term, and it's really the area around the stadium, around FanFest, for us, around MARTA and the hotels, and really developing a system to help the 300,000 plus visitors who many have never been to Atlanta before, to navigate the area, to be clear, to sort of enjoy themselves and not worry about how to get to different places. So we've been working with the host committee now for I guess it's about 25 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, like you said, over 200 students that got involved, from graphic design to illustration to photography, user experience, advertising, motion graphics, film. They all got to be involved in one way or another. It's been an amazing opportunity.
And you've got to do this in a way where, once again, those of us who are local, it's like, yeah, we're going to go over to Mercedes-Benz. We're going to catch a game. And you've got to take into account, the locals kind of know where they're going. You've got to, and if you're a local, you've got to put it in verbiage and in presentation that those outside the city can understand. And those of us kind of sit there that are in the city kind of sit there and go, yeah, okay, yeah, I know that. But you've got to think about it as an outsider to help folks through. What was that process like to make sure that you weren't too inside baseball and coming up with terminology and stuff?
Well, and I think that even worked on two sides. So knowing that Atlanta, they bring in amazing people with sporting events all the time. But I think the FIFA World Cup is, of course, many, many stages higher than we've had for many years in Atlanta. So we knew the numbers. We knew at least the countries that were going to be involved at the first stage. So we could start to anticipate those types of people who are going to make it here. How we can celebrate Atlanta. I think that was a really important aspect to the host committee, in not just helping all these guests come and enjoy their experience, but also take with them that Atlanta is a world-class city and we have so much to offer. So it was multiple layers in what we were trying to accomplish, not only giving them a good time, but also letting them engage and get to know Atlanta in a personal way.
Any clue how many man hours you might have put into this project?
Man hours, man. Well, I'll tell you, having classes, you get a lot of students. So as we said, we had over 200 students, both in Savannah and Atlanta, get involved in this. If I need your dog to help me calculate the number of hours. I know for me, I put in a lot of hours. So you multiply that by 200, it adds up. And of course, it's a learning opportunity for our students. So we're doing lots of discovery, lots of exploration, and trying different things. We really want to be prepared before we show anything to the host committee and get their approval. So the hours are up there, but it's been worth every penny. It's been great.
The rowdy man's asleep. He can't quite help you at the moment. He's guarding the planet from down here.
Well done. We need that.
Yeah, absolutely true. Sam Eckersley, Associate Chair of Graphic Design from SCAD, talking about all the stuff that we might take for granted that is needed and is a necessity for those coming from outside that want to go sample the World Cup. How many different meetings / iterations of ideas and color palettes and designs? I mean, how many meetings were there in hermetically sealed conference rooms or Zooms where you're at the glass table and you got the big monitor at the end and everybody's going through a Teams meeting? I mean, how many different ideas, or did you hit it on the first one, sit there and go, oh, that design looks great, keep it? How many, what'd you do here?
I'll tell you, like any project that we do, you start as big of a scope as you can, right? So you understand what the host committee is looking for, their big ambitions, their goals, before the students are even involved, right? We want to understand the scope of what they're trying to accomplish. And from the get-go, it was two simple things. It was helping guests navigate and have clarity, being able to get around in an enjoyable way, but then also to engage them. So we started actually with 2 separate classes. One was user experience and the wayfinding, and the other was more of a campaign, like how to promote Atlanta. So that was I guess that was 10 weeks for each class. We brought those classes together, and then we had a separate 10-week class where we really kind of started to produce the whole thing. So we met with them once a week. They'd often come in on campus. We'd get to explore things because it was physical items. It really benefited by seeing these things in real time and in location. So yeah, lots of meetings, but they've been an amazing group to work with, highly respectful to our students. You know, they treat everybody like professionals and help guide us based on information that they only have. They had access to FIFA, and so we had access to them. So it's a constantly moving target based on lots of different things, based on city needs, based on the MARTA's requirements, based on changing the stadium from Mercedes-Benz to Atlanta Stadium. All these things we're sort of constantly shifting and ebbing and flowing. So talk about a great experience for students, let alone me, just kind of understanding how big of an impact this thing can have.
How do you keep from being a little kid in all of this, sitting there going, man, we're doing something for the World Cup? You know, I guess you get to do that now that the World Cup is going, but how difficult is it to be locked in on all of this, not get locked into the cool factor? And it's like, man, we got a job to do. We'll have fun later, but it's fun now, but we gotta focus here. How hard was that?
You know what? I'll actually spin that. I think it's all about having fun while you do it. Of course, you got to be professional. I think we teach our students that from the get-go. So we've got that down. You give yourself lots of time to prepare, to make sure that you're approaching things professionally, that things are ready, that technology is ready, all that kind of thing. But we do that with everything. For this, have fun. I mean, why not? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So there's having fun and being immature about it. You can do that when the camera's off. But I mean, they want our students because they're young and they're engaged and they're going to have fun with this. This is a lifetime opportunity for them. So I'm no different, right? I get to be in that classroom and work with them and give them feedback and steer them in the direction that they need to go. But I'm having fun too. Why not? I mean, this is amazing.
When you're seeing the students that are integrating into this project and you get to see them enjoying themselves, as you say, and then seeing the output of the creative process, what's it like for you as a professor and a leader and a mentor to see all of these students come up with these ideas and then finally have it go from farm to table and see what it's like out there in the city?
We do a lot of work with live clients. It's one of the things that I think we have a lot of pride with. It's something called SCAD Pro, which is bringing in live clients into the classroom, putting together custom teams from different majors that can approach those projects in real life terms, like real agency approach. That can be a myriad of different types of projects and all that. And the output, of course, sometimes comes to fruition, sometimes is just a test and maybe doesn't see the light of day. We didn't know, honestly, what the turnout would be for this particular project. There's so many people involved, city requirements, permitting, scope, budget, of course, FIFA's feedback and allowance. And so we went through this pretty far, not honestly knowing if we were going to get any physical items that came from this or if it's just going to be a learning opportunity. But it was probably the last 6 or 7 weeks where, the city gave us full approval. We got the budget really figured out and behind the scenes and behind closed doors, we got really excited about what this could turn into. I feel for the students, maybe they still don't know how awesome this is for them. They're in a world that is in the classroom, that is navigating lots of things at different times, working with their friends, a little bit sheltered because they're young. But I know this is going to be something 10, 20, 30 years ago. We always talk about the Olympics in Atlanta, and that's still something from our community of designers that group is still talking about. So no different for this group. So I'm just thrilled for what not only today and the next month of matches that they get to participate in, but 10, 15 years ago or in the future, they're going to play with this as well. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to, you mentioned budgeting, I mean, what was the biggest thing that you've learned in this process about, you as a mentor / professor?
Sure.
The biggest thing that you've learned in this, because, in the Olympics, you deal with the IOC. With the city, you might deal with the city, you might deal with the state, depending on property. You're dealing with an international organization in Lausanne, Switzerland, that is all the way over there, and they're like the big dogs of this whole thing. What have you and the administration learned about an exercise like this that will help you in the future when you're knocking on the door again with something like this?
We did learn a lot, and I'd say part of those things is any opportunity that you take on for the first time, and this really was for the first time for almost everybody involved, both on the client side and on SCAD side, as far as something so prolific and huge with FIFA being involved. So adaptability, knowing that any decisions being made could change at any time, and it's not due to anybody's personal taste. Often it's just due to requirements, needs, and that sort of thing. We did find a partner in a vendor that actually was they created all the material for us, right? They have experience with that. For us, getting involved with them at an earlier page would have sort of made certain things a little bit smoother, because we would have known what's possible and what's not possible in that way. But I've been through the run for a long time in these unknowns, and actually think that's part of the joy of it all, in just exploring things and then pivoting and turning and trying and all that. That's kind of the joy of what we get to take on.
When it comes to all of the recyclable materials that you guys have gone through to create all this stuff, how big a stack are we talking here? How many different iterations of ideas did you have? Because, early on, say with Atlanta in 1996, when it came to logos and such, we had the circle with the 5 A's.
Yeah.
And that was like the first thing that anyone could attach themselves to when it came to Atlanta in 96. And then you had different versions of that. And then you had the integrations of the Olympic rings and all that kind of stuff. Did you guys settle on a design palette out of the blocks, or did you have to continue to be that adaptable and figure out, okay, no, let's not do this, let's go over here? How many different versions of SCAD Pro 1.0 to all the stuff did you come up with?
I mean, every class was a new level of exploration. FIFA, they are our ultimate client indirectly through the host committee. And so they actually, this time around, if you've noticed that 26 logo that is everywhere and everywhere, that's not our creation. That's FIFA doing that. So that's true with all 16 cities that are hosting the World Cups these times. So part of what we learn as designers is what are the building blocks that we already need to work with. And we sometimes call it the playground. So there's certain colors, there's certain typography, there's certain requirements that FIFA has built before we even get involved. Now, some of those, we of course, as students, you want to test the boundaries on that. Like what is a hard rule and what's a flexible rule. And honestly, for me, I usually work with, this is pretty rigid, but part of the charm of bringing students in is they're gonna test the boundaries. So it is going to be more rounds. It's going to be more iterations. Sometimes you might see it as time spent unnecessarily, but for the students, that's great, because they're young and they're going to push boundaries. And of course, the things that they're interested in and excited about is what the host committee wanted to bring to Atlanta, because that's what's going on right now, right? That's how we can kind of push those boundaries. So if you put numbers to it, like we had to calculate the number of students that got involved in this, the number of rounds, that's going to take the rest of the summer for us to start to build those blocks.
I mean, I didn't mean to get us into calculus to do derivatives and stuff like this morning. So just so everybody knows, when they are in that final mile of getting to, right, for us, it's Mercedes-Benz Stadium until we get in the venue. Then we say it's Atlanta Stadium, and there you go.
Right.
For those that are walking to Atlanta Stadium, for those that are making their way into Atlanta Stadium, just so they have a knowledge base about everything that you've worked on, what are people going to sit there and recognize and go, oh, yeah, that's what SCAD did? What are folks going to be seeing that was part of this project?
So we did a lot of different work, from murals to sculptural events, and then of course the wayfinding, which is what we're talking about today. So with the wayfinding, there's 3 different types of signs. There's something called ground graphics. So when you're out, coming to Peachtree, there's less people around, so we put things on the ground, and that will kind of give you directions, whether you're going to the Fan Fest, whether you're going to the stadium, whether you need to stop by a hotel, that kind of thing. So you're going to see that on the ground. And then as you get a little bit closer, we have what we're calling flags. So there's something when the crowds get a little bit busier, you can't put stuff on the ground. You need to have it in the air. So that's kind of a second stage. And that, again, will navigate you to the things that you want to participate in. And then the part that I'm most excited about is these towers. And those are kind of those key moments where maybe you just wrapped up at the Fan Fest and now you're kind of figuring out you want to get a bite to eat, or maybe it's time to go to the stadium. So those are what I call decision moments, where you get to kind of pause and stand and check it out. And we give you a lot more options on the things that you might want to participate in. But that's the part that we had fun with, because it's partly wayfinding, partly directional. But that's the area where we got to have that engagement component involved a little bit more. So when the host committee reached out to us, they wanted us to engage these 300,000 plus visitors and get them involved and get them to know Atlanta a little bit. And that was a bit of a struggle. Like, what do we want to educate people about? It needs to be about soccer. It needs to be about Atlanta. And we kind of came back full circle to, we wanted to find people from Atlanta where soccer has really impacted their lives in some way or another. Instead of landmarks, instead of the things that I think sometimes cities traditionally celebrate, we want to bring it right back to the people. So if you see these towers, they're about 8 feet tall, a couple of feet squared, and you'll see them scattered around Fan Fest, around the stadium. A couple of sides is the directional wayfinding. So that's the clarity, right? Getting you to the places you need to be. But then there's also images of local people from Atlanta, from different walks of life, that soccer has really impacted their worlds, whether they're the mom that has sort of spent their days at soccer camps, the grandmother that gets to participate and is a diehard Atlanta United fan, or the kids that are playing now. So you'll get a mix. They're all people from Atlanta that we found and we're able to do photo shoots with and video shoots. Got some quotes from them, and there's even an augmented reality component, so you can kind of hover your phone over it. There's a little QR code, and you kind of get to know a little bit more of them. They come to life, and I don't know. That's the engaging part. So that actually was a lot of fun.
When the tournament is over, do you get to keep any of those things in the office, or do you get to take them home and put them in your man cave? What happens to the towers? What happens to the templates? What happens to the flags when this tournament is over? You're going to take some of it home?
Well, we will definitely invite all the participants that we did photographs of. That was all volunteer work, right? We're doing it. We're grassroots in a lot of what we're doing. So we'll certainly let them come out and grab their 8-foot sort of full body photos of who they have, and they can have that in their own man caves. I'll keep some. You haven't seen the size of my office. It's about the size of yours. So I might be able to put 1 or 2 things in there, but that's probably going to be my limit.
See, there you go. But then what you do is you enlist the aid of others. Hey, I need you to stash this. I need you to put this in your office. I need you to help me out here. We need to preserve what we did for the World Cup. I need this to go into your office. My office doesn't have all the space it used to. You're not mentioning anything about Man Cave at home. My office can't handle this. Can you handle this and put this? So this way you keep track of all of these things, and you know that they're going to have good homes and they're going to stay the right colors and everything when it comes to the tournament being over.
Well, they will. Like if you ever go to Atlanta History Center, they have a whole scope on the '96 Olympics.
Yep.
And so my hopes are, we can get them some of these items so that they can be preserved. They do have the space to hold things. So yeah, that would be wonderful. All these little bits and pieces that, right now you're walking right past and you're in the moment. But yeah, I think 10, 15, 20 years from now, it's going to be, not just for us and for SCAD, of course, anybody that's been involved, just what was going on at that time. How do we handle it? How did we do as a city? And how did it sort of, put us on a world stage in a successful way?
Did you go out day one and take a walk inside that last mile yourself just to kind of see everything as it was going to be presented to the world? Did you take that walk yet?
I have walked the last mile probably 100 times at this point, and that's leading up. When the weather was cold, we were out there in the winter, sort of navigating and trying to figure out what are people going to be doing where they're wearing shorts and sweating and like loud music while we're all frigid and nobody was out there because they actually had closed the stadium events. There was no events for a couple of months because they were prepping for the World Cup. So we started that and now we're navigating it just to make sure the signs are in place and in good shape and nobody's drawing them and all that kind of thing. So I'm out there all the time. And of course, now that it's going on, it's fantastic. It's amazing. Just the energy going on is wonderful.
You sit there and poke at somebody with a Sharpie, sit there and go, no, you're not supposed to touch that tower.
Hey, you know what? I see it as a compliment. Anybody engaging with any way, I think that's a cool thing because it just shows they're participating, which is cool.
I can't thank you enough for doing this. I know that this will now give everyone the opportunity to sit there and understand the background. It's like a Paul Harvey moment. It's like, and now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah.
And so when they're going and they see the towers and everything else, they know the origin story when it comes to everything there at SCAD. Associate Chair of Graphic Design, Sam Eckersley. I can't thank you enough for doing this. And thanks for the explainer. And like I said, we cover you when it comes to what goes on during soccer season on the field with SCAD and all the runs to the titles and stuff. We know that part, but it was good to catch up with you about this part. Do you need a note to get back into class, or are you okay?
I get my day off today. I'm going to wander down to the last mile and check things out. So, John, I appreciate your time. Good meeting you. And yeah, thanks for everything you do.
All right. Be safe, my friend. We'll see you down there.
Take care. Bye-bye.
There he goes, Sam Eckersley, Associate Chair of Graphic Design at SCAD. So now you know. So I'm going to play my Paul Harvey drop. I knew I had my Paul Harvey drop for a reason. So let me get past all of my sound bites here. So here we go. This is now why we have folks like Sam on.
Now you know the rest of the story.
There you go. So that is why we had Sam on this morning. So when you're downtown in that last mile and you see the arrows and the directions on the sidewalk, when you see the flags and you see the towers that are there, like in the park that is above the red deck, and all of those towers at FanFest and outside of the blank tank, now you know where that came from. It came from our friends at SCAD. So that is the rundown there. Once again, thanks to our friends at SCAD for making that happen, because it was something that came across our desk. And thanks once again to Wendy Gardner and everybody there at SCAD for helping us tell that story. So now you know when you head down where all that stuff comes from. All right, let's get you into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, all the other news before we get out of here. And then we head down to the stadium because there's a game at noon. Yes, there is a game at noon, people. And it will be on your favorite, how do we phrase it? Your favorite platform is the word I was looking for. I was going to say channel, but it's more than just a channel these days. So that is the rundown there. Now, Chicago Fire and MLS remain highly confident signing Lewandowski despite his recent visit concluding without a deal. Berhalter made pitches on it. Andre Franco's return from an ACL tear in over a month anticipated to provide the attacking quality. Team is lacked in 26. So Adrian Rabiot was not a fan of the pitch at the Meadowlands. He said it was quite hard and quite rigid, feeling more like an artificial surface. Manager Didier Deschamps explained the special grass has a very, very, very short fiber due to a concrete slab underneath. Kraft Sports and Entertainment has sued the town of Foxborough. It's from our friends at the Blazing Musket, alleging the town uses its licensing authority to, quote, extract funds. Lawsuit claims Kraft paid nearly $1 million in April for a license that should cost only $100,000, following a prior dispute over a $7 million security bill for the ongoing World Cup. So that's kind of your news in and around. Your daily brief overseas. It appears that the government of Italy is targeting the FA. Once again, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is now having the idea of curtailing the power of the country's FA. According to Politico, Meloni's allies are seeking to place Italy's FA under special administration, an emergency measure to overcome corruption scandals. Government figures are reportedly pushing to call off or postpone the vote on June 22nd to determine Italy's FA's next president following the departure of Gabriella Gravina. Critics suggest the government intervention is a tactical ploy to block the heavy favorite Giovanni Malago who is disliked by Maloney's party, from taking control. However, government is rejecting that notion that it wants to extend its reach to the FA. Sports Minister Andrea Abodi telling Politico that, quote, it's a, quote, pathetic and baseless claim, and that there is no element that could be seen as an attempt by politics to take over this domain. Reports suggest less than a week until the election, government is unlikely to place the Italian FA under administration. Authority to do rests with the Italian Olympic Committee, of which Malago was former president, and the conditions warranting such a move have not been met. Nevertheless, Maloney's administration has asked Italy's National Anti-Corruption Authority to determine whether the revolving door restrictions could affect Malago's eligibility before the election. So that's there. We mentioned Bernardo Silva joining Real Madrid on a free. We mentioned that yesterday. Hull City could face a points deduction for breaching financial rules following their promotion back to the Premier League unless they sell players before the end of the month to make up £6 million. Leeds are considering legal action against Leicester after the precedent was set when Everton were ordered to pay Burnley £35 million for breaching financial rules. Draw for the 26-27 UEFA Champions League second qualifying round held back on Wednesday. 28 teams competing for a spot in next season's tourney. We'll go over some of the teams in a bit. Rangers have confirmed the departure of Danny Roll to Red Bull Salzburg by mutual consent. Giovanni van Bronckhorst has gone back to Feyenoord to replace Robin van Persie, and it looks like Derek McInnes might be heading to Rangers. Keep an eye on all of that. Let's see. USL was last night. And this is cool. Sudan's U17 women's national football team made their first international appearance since civil war has erupted in the country. So very, very cool stuff there with them. Now, what was I going to circle back to here quickly? The Champions League teams. The 28 in round 2. The Champions Path qualifying round draw was held yesterday. 28 clubs and pairings involved, 24 in the Champions Path, 4 in the League Path. Champions Path, you've got folks like Mjolbe, Red Imps, Red Star, KUPS, Vardar, Kano Zalgiris, Lech Poznan is going up against Aarhus. Shamrock Rovers is in there, and they would have to beat Floriana out of Malta. And so you've got that. In League Path, there's Fenerbahce, Gornik Zabrze out of Poland, Sturm Graz out of Austria, and Hearts out of Scotland. First leg's due to be held on the 21st and 22nd of July, returns on the 28th and 29th. And that is your UEFA news. So World Cup Daily, got to Thomas Tuchel, got to Peter Musa, got to Cristiano Ronaldo, got to Messi. Let's see. Trying to see if there's anything else. World Cup features a record 289 foreign-born players, highlighting a globalized game. Let's see, Pochettino and all of that. Okay, so I think we're good there. All right, let's get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and all the things. All the things. All right, so from our friends at the Four Letter, and once again, Abby will be on the pitch with the Czechia Big Flag. Czechia Big Flag is going to be there with Abby, so she'll be a part of it. So keep an eye on all your friends today down at the stadium. So let's see. Where is do we have any gossip, rumor, and innuendo yet? Yes, we do. Okay, so here we go. Brighton midfielder Yassin Ayari attracting interest from Liverpool and Chelsea. Team Talk reports both sides among several clubs to have made inquiries regarding the Swedish international. Scouts were watching last year. Seagulls are hopeful of keeping hold of Ayari, have moved swiftly to open talks over a potential contract extension. Looks as though transfer interest is growing after his 2 goals for Sweden in the win over Tunisia. Arsenal lining up a move for PSG's Bradley Barcola, according to The Independent, reportedly checking on the 23-year-old situation ahead of making their official approach. PSG could be open to parting ways with him amid plans to make more additions to the forward line. Liverpool, who are closing in on the €40 million deal to sign Osasuna winger Victor Munoz, also hold interest in Barcola, who scored in France's 3-1 win over Senegal. Real Madrid ready to make an approach on Enzo Fernandez. According to Marca, Los Blancos have made him their number 1 priority, looking to reinforce the midfield in the summer. The Blues would be open to parting ways with him if they get an offer worth at least €120 million, and West Ham's Mateus Fernandes is seen as a potential alternative, I would imagine also cheaper. Meanwhile, the Bernabeu hierarchy also looking at Internazionale defender Alessandro Bastoni. Gazzetta reports that an offer worth €70 million would be required to land him. Chelsea monitoring the situation with Porto keeper Diogo Costa, according to Record. Blues reportedly considering a €60 million move for the 26-year-old, but the Portuguese club could demand a higher transfer fee if he impresses at the World Cup. Xabi Alonso expected to explore the market for a potential replacement between the posts after a difficult campaign for Robert Sanchez last year. Gazzetta, Barca and Chelsea battling for the signature of Juve wingback Andrea Cambiasso. Bianconeri looking for an offer worth at least €40 million to sign him. Blues want to offer striker Nico Jackson as part of a make-weight. Cambiasso, 46 appearances across all comps last year, linked to Manchester City. Bay FC has acquired U.S. Youth International midfielder Kennedy Fuller from Angel City in a transfer worth $520,000 total. Also in the NWSL, Sam Kerr is now joining Gotham on a free. Lily Real has been traded from Gotham to Boston, and Ali Sentner has been moved for, I want to get the number correct, because it was like $860,000? So, and Ali Sentner, I love how it's just inserting, Okay, so Jeff Kassouf yesterday. Sentner to Angel City on an $850,000 transfer from Kansas City Current. Sentner joined Casey from Utah for $600,000 guaranteed. So basically, Ali Sentner got flipped in Kansas City, made $250,000 on the deal. And Sam Kerr, once again, coming in, agreed for her to come back, and that's on a free. So Sam Kerr to Gotham, Ali Sentner to Angel City, Lily Real to Boston, Kennedy Fuller to Bay, Alexander Strauss fired by Angel City. So all that happened yesterday. 12th out of 16 teams in the summer break starting 3-0 atop the table. So it has been, after that 3-0, it has gone downhill ever since. The Kennedy Fuller deal, it was Kennedy Fuller and an international roster spot to Bay for $500,000 in intra-league transfer funds and $20,000 in AM. So $520,000 total. So that is the word out of the NWSL. Liverpool set to sign Victor Munoz. Keep an eye on that. Manchester United, no plans to negotiate the new loan agreement for Marcus Rashford. We talked about that yesterday. And we mentioned Sam Kerr and Ali Sentner. Barca expected 22-year-old winger Sama Parayuelo to leave the club at the end of June when her contract expires, but the Catalan club have reached an agreement to extend Pere Romeu's tenure until 2028. Gladbach and Gio Reyna open to leaving the Bundesliga club in the transfer window, according to Nicola Schira. Cagliari wingback Marco Palestra wants to join Internazionale, turned down a potential switch to Chelsea. That's from Corriere dello Sport. Real Madrid back Alvaro Carreras is on the radars of Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United. That's from Ekrem Konur. Aurelien Tchouameni at Real Madrid could leave the Bernabeu this summer, previously linked with Manchester United. That's from Mundo Deportivo. Yan Diomande still being worked on as a deal with Liverpool from Leipzig, despite closing in on the signing of Victor Munoz. AC Milan keen on Gonzalo Ramos from PSG, but need to offload Rafa Leao for a move to happen. Team talk. Spurs have joined the race for Cologne winger Said El-Mallah. AS Betis closing in on a move to sign Real Madrid midfielder Dani Ceballos on a free. Everton defender Luka Davis attracting interest from clubs in League One. That is from Football Insider. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Helps us, helps you, helps them. You get to add some more streaming parts of the world to what you already get the chance to look at. A lot of the A and B divisions in South America. You've got connections to Tigo Sports, connections to CATV. You have Copa Argentina from our friends at TIC. Their wall-to-wall coverage of the Argentine national team has been off the charts. You get TIC, you get all the B-ins. With all the B-ins, you get their European League action. You get Libertadores, you get Sudamericana, you get all of the AFCON qualifiers, you get CAF Champions League, you get all the U17 stuff that recently happened a couple of weeks ago. So when I mean all the B-ins, you get all the B-ins. You get TVV out of Venezuela if you want it. CDO out of Chile. You get Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. And like I said, a lot of the A and B divisions in a lot of the countries in South America. You get all that at Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. So England opens up their campaign against Croatia. Big FOX has 3 of the 4 matches. They're yielding time to local news in the 6 o'clock. Czechia, South Africa, Switzerland, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Mexico, South Korea at 9. All those are on Big FOX. FS1 gets Canada and Qatar at 6. Telemundo, the quadruple header. Fox ONE, the quadruple header. Peacock, the quadruple header. You can watch Telemundo from there. Women's action, Northern Super League. is on the plus at 10 o'clock with Halifax taking on Vancouver. That is what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Brought to us by our friends at Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. Checking the list. I think that's it for the morning. Obviously, keep an eye out on the socials for everything that we're doing today down at the stadium because of Czech Republic and South Africa. Czechia coming in at a -125, and South Africa now under +400 at a +390 as a dog. Switzerland now -175. Bosnia and Herzegovina has not moved from a +500. Canada and Qatar, that is still stated at a -333 and a +1,000. Mexico still at a +104, and the Korea Republic is a +300. USA tomorrow, still a -167 as batting leadoff at 3 o'clock, taking on Australia. And let me check today and see what the plans are for Atlanta soccer tonight. And that, let me see if that has popped up yet. I don't think it has. So when you get it in your inbox, Atlanta soccer tonight with Jason, 92.9 The Game, 929thegame.com, Odyssey app, 92.9 The Game YouTube channel, 10 to midnight. That's where it'll be. Then after 11 o'clock, I think everything shifts in the three-dimensional experience for Atlanta soccer tonight. Everything shifts over to the 92.9 The Game YouTube channel. But also what you can do is keep an eye out on the social medias and see if that plan changes and works its way into any other iteration of what's going on involving Jason and Maddie and AST and stoppage time and all the things in one place. If you don't get morning espresso, go to soccerdownhere.net and you can literally on our main page, there's a box. You subscribe right there. Morning espresso brought to us by our friends at Oglethorpe University. Thanks to them for being great partners with us here at SDH. And I think, it hasn't posted, but of course, when you got a late night like Jason has, an early morning like Jason has, be patient. It'll be out in just a little bit, but it'll tell you what's going on, what's airing where, and what time, and what we've got, and all the news that that I might miss because we're heading into Atlanta Stadium to take on the noon kick. All right, that is it is Thursday Thoughts. Tomorrow it's stacked, and we might set a record. Abby's going to be a part of the Czechia flag, remember. So say hi to Abby from the stands if you're going. So remember, big day tomorrow. We might set a record. Jason Brock's going to join us on infrastructure, about what it takes from an infrastructure standpoint to make sure that everything operates as smoothly as it can in a World Cup situation. We'll let you know about what happened today. We'll let you set up what happens tomorrow with the U.S. men's national team and all the other matches. Hopefully catch up with our friends at Apple TV, possibly our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. Power Hour goes from 10:30 to 11:30 because it's not on today. Nico at 10:30, Nino at 11, and we're efforting a guest out of Guadalajara, Mexico to wrap up the show and the week. That's at 11:30. So that's tomorrow. Today, once again, big day. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to set SDH on all of your social medias to get your notifications, to find out where we are, what we're doing, how we're doing it, all that. All in one place here at soccerdownhere.net and the SDH network. So for all of us here, to all of you there, thanks for dropping in. Let me say hi to everybody before we get out of here. Typhane, Bernard, and Abby, and bots don't get hellos. Dawn Star, thanks for coming in. And thanks to Will. And let's see. I think that's it. At least everybody who commented in the Twitch pitch. All right, so we're out the door. We will catch up with you again later today on all the socials after the whistle and such. And then again tomorrow morning in a little less than 23 hours. We'll talk about it all then. Tonight, AST on the networks as well, 92.9 The Game, and all the stuff. So mucha plati, I'll play it safe. It's the end of the show. That means I get to do this. Well, no, I don't get to do that yet. I got to hit a button first, and then I got to do this. Now we're going to hit the right button. Bye.